Of course, we all love Oasis for their incredible music, but the Gallagher brothers wouldn't be the Gallagher brothers if there wasn't some controversy involved here and there. And although the Gallaghers have chilled out significantly ever since their Oasis heyday, they have still been part of their fair share of controversy. But what are the most controversial Oasis moments? Here we go. Coming in at number 8, Noel Gallagher quits the What's the Story Morning Glory tour in 1996. Now, this wasn't the first major time that Noel Gallagher left the band. He actually made a little bit of a habit of it during the mid-1990s. He briefly left in 1995 as well, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. The band was on their promotional tour of the US for What's the Story Morning Glory in 1996 when Noel left abruptly towards the end of the North American tour and absolutely canceled their Australian tour. The band was in shambles and decided to just abandon the whole tour and start recording their third studio album, Be Here Now. And this was already coming on the heels of a crazy, chaotic, and unpredictable What's the Story Morning Glory tour. Liam pulled out of the MTV Unplugged performance at the last minute. Of course, that's a famous incident. He delayed their US tour, and then the MTV Music Awards performance where he spit on stage. The tour was just not really going as well as planned. And at the time, as an Oasis fan, I remember when Noel left that tour that it felt like it could be the end for Oasis. This was a roller coaster ride we were all going to be on for a very, very long time, but I always felt like the band maybe should have taken a longer break before they went in and recorded Be Here Now. But the band was on a bit of a destructive path during this period, and I guess pretty much every period until they finally broke up in 2009. But if you were an Oasis fan like me back then when Noel left the band, we all thought, okay, this is it. This is the end. This is the end of Oasis, and we continued to play that game until it finally happened in 2009. Coming in at number 7 on my most controversial Oasis moments, we have Crystal Meth at the Whiskey Agogo. Oasis, Los Angeles, 1994. What could go wrong? Well, it turns out a lot could go wrong. The band was on their first tour of the US promoting their debut album, Definitely Maybe, when they stopped into the California city to blow away that LA crowd with their UK brand of rock and roll. Except they probably blew their own minds instead. On this tour, the band discovered the drug crystal meth and decided to take some before their gig at the infamous Whiskey Agogo venue in LA, sniffing it like it was cocaine. But by the time they finally hit the stage at the Whiskey Agogo in LA, they were all high off their minds on crystal meth, all playing different songs at the same time and absolutely tripping balls.
See what I can for you, you know.
The meltdown at this gig led Noel to leaving the band for the first time, I think, temporarily, and writing the songs Half the World Away and Talk Tonight in the process. So it was kind of bad that Oasis blew their first LA gig being high on crystal meth, but at least we got some great songs out of the deal. Coming in at number 6, we have the band's performance at the MTV Music Video Awards in 1996. You know, when you think about it, Oasis had it made for them when it came to breaking into the US market. Yeah, Morning Glory was a huge record. It had huge singles on it as well. Wonderwall, Champion Supernova, and Don't Look Back in Anger were all huge video and radio hits in North America. And the band just spat into the face of the US music industry. Well, kinda. The band performed Champagne Supernova at the MTV Music Video Awards in New York City, and the performance left a lot to be desired. Liam was drunk and slurring the lyrics during the show, and he capped it all off by hawking the biggest, slurpiest glob of spit onto the MTV Awards stage. And if you want a moment where Oasis ruined their chance of conquering the US, this is it. While that behavior would have gotten praise in the UK for its attitude and its bravado, here in the US, I think US fans at large, not the hardcore North American fans like me and a lot of other fans out there, they abandoned Oasis in droves, and the band never really recovered in the eyes of the larger US rock music scene. Coming in at number 5 on the most controversial Oasis moments, we have Liam's German Brawl in Munich in 2002. Now, we all love Liam Gallagher for his attitude and his confidence, but sometimes that gets him in serious trouble. Yeah, when the band was on tour in Munich, Germany on the Heath and Chemistry tour in 2002, Liam and his entourage got into it with a few Italian fellows, Italians like me, in Germany at a nightclub who got angry after Liam flicked peanuts at them, or at least that's what we've been told. This one ended in a big brawl with Liam kicking a German police officer, which isn't a good idea. He lost a few teeth in the altercation, and Liam, Oasis drummer at the time, Alan White, and the band's friend Phil Smith, and others were arrested. So the band canceled the rest of their German tour dates, and Liam got that beautiful smile fixed. Liam was fined and moved on to the next fight, but since then, it's been a long time, he's chilled out significantly. Rock stars just don't get in drunken brawls like they used to, you know? Coming in at number 4, we have Noel quitting the band again in the year 2000. This is what, the second or third time that Noel quit Oasis? It was starting to become a little bit of a pattern. In the middle of the Standing on the Shoulder of Giants tour, Noel and Liam got into it again, and Noel left the tour temporarily, only coming back to play with the band for their dates in the UK. And that's when the band triumphantly carried on for the rest of their European dates with Matt Dayton on guitar filling in for Noel. He's the unsung hero of Oasis. If Matt Dayton doesn't show up for the reunion next year, we riot. And I remember it at the time. I was in high school when this all happened back in the year 2000. Everybody knew that I was a huge Oasis fan, and they all rubbed it in when Noel quit the band. They're saying, oh, Noel Gallagher is going to quit Oasis for good. Well, you know what? He came back, jerks. And then obviously we got the Familiar to Millions live album out of the deal a few months later, but then they did another night at Wembley, the second night, where Liam was beyond drunk for that performance, and that tour went to shit pretty quick. It's funny how Oasis always seemed to rebound after these huge fights. They made Be Here Now after Noel left the tour in 1996. They made Heath and Chemistry after Noel left the tour in 2000. They always seemed to make it work until 2009 when they broke up for good, or at least for 15 years. Coming in at number 3 on my most controversial Oasis moments, we have the band's Cathay Pacific flight in 1998. During the height of the Be Here Now tour at the start of 1998, Oasis were on top of the world, or going down under. But it wouldn't be an Oasis tour without at least something controversial happening. So Liam got up to his usual antics on a Cathay Pacific flight from Hong Kong to Australia. He was under the influence, of course, of alcohol or something, and began to verbally and physically abuse the flight staff, throwing things and creating a ruckus. So why did he do all of this? Well, he's Liam fucking Gallagher for one. But also, he really wanted a scone. No, seriously. Yeah, he just wanted a scone. If that's not a reason to get banned by an airline company for life, I don't know what is. Let's just hope that Liam is not flying Cathay Pacific for the Oasis reunion dates in Australia next year. And of course, when he got banned from the airline, he had the best response ever.
Because I'll tell you, kids, I'd rather walk.
Coming in at number 2 on my most controversial Oasis moments, we have Noel's AIDS comments from 1995. So this might be the worst thing that Noel Gallagher has ever said or done. Oasis versus Blur was at its height in 1995. Of course, we all know the story of the single battle between Roll With It and Country House. It was working class versus middle class. But then during all of this, Noel Gallagher came out in the press and he said that he hoped that Damon and Alex of Blur died of AIDS. This caused a lot of controversy in the UK, and rightfully so. This is just not the type of thing you mention casually and callously like that. Oasis always had an attitude that was fun, but this went way too far. And they did have to answer for it at the time. I know the press really did grill Noel on these comments. He did have to apologize. He did have to make up for it. But this is the type of thing that would have gotten them completely canceled if it happened today. But it was a different time back in the 1990s, and the band did soften slightly a little bit in their press encounters after this, but Noel has continued to insult pretty much every band on the planet ever since. And coming in at number 1 on my most controversial Oasis moments, we have the final breakup from 2009. Ah, yes, the Oasis breakup in 2009. It was pretty devastating at the time, but it's kind of easy to look back on it now that we know that the band is reuniting. But it was a big deal in 2009. As seen by this list, Noel has left the band on multiple occasions, only to return sometime after. But this one felt different. Noel had finally had enough of Liam's antics and walked away mid-tour, just like the other times. But this sounded a lot more serious than the other Oasis breakups. There was rumors of violence, guitars being wielded like axes. There was smashed stuff all over the room, mean things said. Nobody knows the truth, but it was enough to make Noel walk away for good this time, or at least for 15 years. And I remember being devastated about it, but not being all that shocked. It was inevitable, I think, at this time in the Oasis career. At this time in 2009, I was actually looking forward to their solo careers. But the reason why I'm putting it as the most controversial Oasis moment, because this was the moment that led us to 15 years of speculation of whether the band was going to get back together. Obviously, we had a lot of great solo material, but it was an uncertain time to be an Oasis fan. But I guess all is well that ends well. It only took 15 years, but Oasis is back together for their shows in 2025. And that is it, guys. Those are my most controversial Oasis moments. I'm sure I missed some. There's been so many controversial moments in the career of Oasis and the Gallagher brothers. Brothers. So let me know what your favorite or, your most controversial Oasis moments are in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure to toss me a thumbs up. Appreciate that. Make sure to smash the subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos, and make sure to follow me on social platforms, across platforms at Nick Chino Music. But I'll see you guys again for another video here on the channel. Until then, rock on, everybody.